Do you think we went a little overboard? Think this is too many books? Nah. There we go. This is fine. Perfectly fine. So, welcome back to my channel. My name is Indieauthor Jill, and I read and review indie-authored books. Today we are looking at Poison Bay by Belinda Pollard. I loved this book. I could not put it down. I couldn't stop talking about it either. This didn't get the same kind of recognition. It didn't get the same kind of interest as Relentless Blades did. I carried Relentless Blades around, and everyone kept asking me, "What's this book? What are you reading?" And they wanted to see the cover. They wanted to know what the book was about, and several of them wrote down the name of the book and the title. That didn't happen with Poison Bay until I started talking about it, and I would talk about it completely uninvited. Like, people are just like, "Oh, how's your day?" I go, "Well, I'm reading this book that is just absolutely got my attention." And so then I would start talking about the book, and then people would start to take an interest in it. Not to say that the cover is not as good, it just didn't it didn't attract to the same people that were attracted to Relentless Blades. Most of the people that were interested in Relentless Blades were nerds like me, but the people that were interested in Poison Bay were also thriller fans, so they were interested in what the story was about. I liked the cover. Immediately, as soon as I saw the cover, I was interested in it, but the story itself is so much better than what the cover and even the blurb on the back can convey. I read what it was about. I read the description on line. I read the description on the back, and even that none of that prepared me for what's inside the book. And the story is just so good. There's something that happened in chapter 10. I think it's like the first death doesn't take place until about chapter 10 or so, and definitely wasn't who I thought was going to die first. If you saw my video sitting in my car talking about it, the first person to die was not the person I wanted, and he continued to Kane continued to irritate me throughout the entire book until right up until the end. Like, he was just annoying. Even when he wasn't, like, on screen, so to speak, when it was that there's different times when people are just sitting around the fire and talking because Kane has gone off to do some foraging, because they take turns foraging for foods. But during the times when he's either scouting ahead or he's foraging or he's just not in the picture and they're talking about him, and I was like, yes, he is a complete tool. Why do people like him? Why is he even in this friend group? You know? And how these 8 people became a unit in the first place gets explained throughout the book, and it's interesting how these people from so many different... the book starts off in the way you would think that one of these kind of books would start off. It starts off 10 years ago at their graduation party. Brian is hosting a graduation party for his friends on the day of their graduation. School's out. They've done the whole graduate. They've walked the stage. They've gotten their diplomas. They've done the pictures and all the things with their friends and their families. And now they've got one last night, as Callie says, one last night to just be kids before they go out and try to be adults. And so there's 9 people that are supposed to be at this party. The first one, of course, is Brian, who's hosting the party. And Brian has wealthy parents who aren't necessarily interested in their son as a son. They're, you know, the typical rich parents that you see in stories and movies where the kid basically raises themselves because mom and dad are always off on some business trip, or in their cases they were conservationists, so they were going into the jungles or whatever, so they were constantly leaving their son behind. Even when he was old enough to travel with them, they didn't take him with him. But so him being the wealthy one, he decides he's going to host a party for his friends, and the people he's invited is his girlfriend, Liana, of course, but then he invites their friend group. There's the guys, Kane, who is secretly in love with Liana. There is Adam. There is Jack, and then Brian makes the fourth of the guys. So Kane, Jack, and Adam are friends with Brian. And then the girls, there's Rachel, who is a type 1 diabetic, and she's friends with Callie. So she's in this friend group because of Callie. Callie has a crush on Kane, but Jack has a crush on Callie. And then there's Erica, who is dating Kane. And then there's Sharon, who is kind of in the group. She's got her own reasons for being in the group, but she's just she's pretty sweet. And so she's just one of those people that everybody likes. She's one of those people that's hard not to like. And so she's in this group. So you've got them all at Brian's house, and then Leanna comes in with a gun, and it's very shortly revealed that I don't feel like this is a spoiler because it's revealed early on that Leanna committed suicide. She showed up to the party and she shot herself, and that's what you know pretty early on. So then 10 years later, there's an invitation from Brian, and he's calling all of his friends together, and he says, hey, my parents have passed away. I want to establish a trail in this area where I live, because he has moved from Australia to New Zealand, and they're all living in Australia, Brisbane. And he moves to New Zealand and tells them, hey, I want to establish a trail in memory of my parents here in New Zealand, and I would like you guys to come and test the trail with me so I can, put some final tweaks on it. And they all are like, yeah, let's go, And he's willing to pay for all of them. He pays for all their airfare out there. He pays for their gear. He sends them checks and a list of gear that they should have. And he tells them, the best gear they can get. And what they're going to need. And they get the gear that they're supposed to get. And they get out there. And it's... as the back says, or as the front says, when the wilderness is not your only enemy, who do you trust? And so she goes on a trek to New Zealand, and it's in the like most brutal wilderness, and the thing, what she says, it says what she doesn't know is that, let's see, television reporter Callie Brown likes safe places with good coffee, but she joins friends from the past on a trek into New Zealand's most brutal wilderness in the hope of healing a broken heart. What she doesn't know is that someone wants them all dead. Lost in every sense of the word, the hiker's primal instincts erupt. Surrounded by people who have harbored secrets for a decade, Callie must choose the right ally if she doesn't want to be the next to die. What's funny is the writer does a good job with foreshadowing. At one point when Callie is leaving for this trek, her friends tell her, hey, don't end up on the news, because she's a news reporter. And she does that exact thing. She ends up on the news. Yeah, they all join together to go to this trek, and they find out kind of the hard way that someone wants them all dead. And so the question is, and they deal with this question at one point, is the killer in this group, or is the killer somebody who's following us for some reason, you know? And so, like I said, that's a kind of I feel like that's a typical storyline, and I love that. What I love about this storyline is that you can kind of go anywhere with it. You know, you've got this group of friends. They were tight at one point, and then, you know, so many years later, the thing that happened back here catches up with them, and people start either disappearing or dying or whatever. And the question is it somebody who, and usually it's somebody in the group that wants everybody dead, and sometimes, very rarely, it's somebody who has been dismissed at the very beginning, that is somehow called them all together. There was the same idea happened with Perish in Paradise by Christian Wright, where there was a group of people involved in a missing persons case, and everything ended up tying, there was a way of tying a bunch of people together, and suddenly almost everybody, pretty much everybody involved in that case ended up on the same cruise ship, and it's like, coincidence? No, but everybody won a ticket from a drawing or a raffle they never remembered even getting into. And then you have one person who, her kids bought her a ticket to the raffle, or bought her a ticket to the cruise, and just to, you know, like, hey mom, we want to give you a gift to just get away and get some fresh air and whatnot. And she ends up getting mixed up into this thing where, okay, there's this group of people, people are starting to die, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think they're accidents. And she starts becoming kind of a sleuth to figure out what's going on and find out who the killer is and everything. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's somebody in the group, a group of friends. This thing happened, somebody died 10 years ago, or, you know, something massive happened 10 years ago, and now everybody's coming together at a mountain lodge to have one last party, have another party together, and all of a sudden everybody starts dying, you know. So I love, like I said, I love these kind of stories, because you can go so many ways with them, and usually you can kind of predict, okay, I think I know who the killer is and why. And in this case, it was no different for me. I immediately knew who the killer was. I immediately knew what the reason was. There is a bit of a twist that I didn't see coming, and it's like, oh, that kind of ups the ante a bit. And there's like, you know, and then as it goes on, it's like you keep getting these little twists, and you can kind of, the author gives you enough information that as you're going through and you're realizing, okay, I see how, you know, and you're like, I think this is happening. And you're like, but I don't understand why. And then you realize, oh, okay. Now we're getting into it. And then you're like, I bet the reason why this happened is because of this. And then you get that confirmed for you. And as long as you're paying attention to the details, as long as you're paying attention to the pieces of the puzzle that the author is giving you, you can start to figure it out. And it doesn't make it any less interesting, because there's so many twists and turns that you're like, okay, and she puts things in place just so. It's definitely very well written. I would definitely put this on par with A Mountain Between Us. The book, not the movie. The movie was crap. Don't watch the movie. It was absolutely sucked. The book was so much better, and the directors and producers would have done themselves a favor by sticking to the source material. And if you haven't read A Mountain Between Us, go read A Mountain Between Us, and then read everything else by the author, Christian Wright? No. Christian Wright wrote Perish in Paradise series, the Iris May series. Martin. His last name was Martin. I can't remember if it was Christopher or Christian. I think it was Chris Martin. Anyway. No, Charlie Martin. I will get there, okay? It's been a very long 2 weeks. But yeah, Charlie Martin, I believe, wrote A Mountain Between Us. And like I said, it was such a good book. You have this group of kids, they're adults now, but they've been friends all through high school. You know, they grew up together. And they became friends through being in school together. And so when, even after that after that event happened, they still got a hold, they still kept in touch. And for some of them it was nothing more than a Christmas card and an occasional email. And I do love the way that everybody connects, you know, how this bonds the survivors together to where it strengthens the friendship they already had even more. But yeah, they've got points in time, even when, you know, everybody is dying around them and they're just trying to survive. They have their moments of levity. Like, it's not all doom and gloom for them. It's not all, okay, we've got to do this, we got to do A, B, C, and D, and if we have time, we'll do E. But we also have to worry about F, G, H, you know. And so they have moments where they're, okay, we're in survival mode right now, and we're in crisis mode, and we have to do this, we have to get past this part. There's landslips coming up, you know, we got to get around this particularly crazy ledge here or whatever. And then there's times when they're just, you know, fishing and sitting around a campfire and telling jokes and just laughing about Sometimes they have a failed attempt. The first time they try fishing, it is hilariously, it goes bad. It goes hilariously bad. But in the moment, it's not funny because they're like, we need food. But then when they do succeed in getting food, then they get back to camp and they're yelling and screaming like, we got food, we got food. And they're sitting around the campfire eating and everything and laughing and joking about, oh yeah, Adam, big tracker out here trying to catch fish. He's not good at it, you know. And or they tell stories about their past or things that they remember about Leanna, the girl that committed suicide, or they talk about the family they have waiting at home. Sharon has a 3-year-old little boy waiting for her. He's staying with her parents while she's out trekking. Jack is between jobs because he's taking time to get another degree so that he can become a reverend, and he's also working on documentaries. Adam has a girl that he's wanting to propose to, you know, and they each are talking about they talk about the lives they left at home, back home, the lives they can't wait to get back to. At one point they start talking about what kind of food they're going to eat. As soon as we hit civilization, I'm getting the biggest, greasiest hamburger I can find, you know. And another one's like, I'm going for the lasagna, or a steak, or whatever their idea of what is the food I'm craving right now that I miss from civilization. They kind of joke about when they're looking for food. One of them makes the joke of, hey, go check the meat department and see if we got any, get something from the meat department, you know. So they have these moments of seriousness, they have these moments of levity, they have these back and forth, and you can see that, you know, there's times when they're like sniping at each other and they're biting each other's heads off and they're arguing and their tensions are running high because we might die out here, you know. Yeah. Stay. But, yeah. It's a good representation of the human spirit, because when you're surviving it, eventually you get to a point where this is kind of normal. This becomes your normal for the time being. It's like, okay, we can either completely disappear into the severity of the situation and just completely focus on crisis mode, or we can pull ourselves back a little bit and realize that we're having a moment. We're in a situation that we will never be in again. We may die out here, but you know, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. We can be friends. We can be a group of friends hanging out around a campfire, and this can just be part of the trip, you know. So yeah, they're not enjoying the entire time out there, but they're not in crisis mode every single time, because there's moments, like I said, when they get food that's more than just vegetation. They do their best. They're figuring out how to help Rachel deal with her type 1 diabetes, because she does have her glucose tabs and whatnot with her while she's trekking, and she brought extra supplies just in case, and unfortunately just in case became a worst case scenario of what do we do when the glucose tabs run out, and and she doesn't have testing strips and she can't test her blood, and we have to just keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't have a sugar drop or whatever, or what they call a hypo. Um, so there's definitely, they keep getting injured. So there's injuries to work out. You got Sharon ends up getting buried in snow, and then you got to worry about hypothermia with her. Callie gets caught in, well, they all end up having to deal with a landslide in one form or the other. But you see the landslide mostly from Jack and Callie's point of view, because they take a good brunt of it. Actually, the whole book is done from Jack and Callie's point of view, unless it's back at the search rescue with Peter, who is desperately trying to find these people out here trekking. But when the landslides happen, every one of them is injured to some capacity. So then you have these people, everyone has some kind of issue that they're dealing with that they have to overcome to keep going. But yeah, I liked the story. I liked the twist. I could not put it down. I couldn't stop talking about it. Even my co-workers, who were one of them doesn't even read, but he was invested, and he's like, you gotta tell me what happens. You gotta tell me what happens. It's like, I'm never gonna read it, so you have to tell me what happens, because he's just not a reader. He can't get himself to sit down and read. But so as I'm going through it, and I would tell him something, and I was like, oh, well, this happened. And he's like, no, that person's not dead. That they can't be dead. That's not, that didn't happen. He's alive. Trust me on that. And no, he died. But yeah, the people that you think are doing one thing are doing something completely different. But like I said, you can figure that all out, because the author gives you enough information to help you along, but not so much that it's so obvious. And I really like that. So as usual, I will put a link to the description. I will put a link to the book in the description. I believe the second one is also available, and if so, I will put that in there, because yeah, it is a series. It is the Wild Crimes Mysteries. This is just book one, and this has actually won multiple awards. Winner of the Verana Fellowship and the Ippy Silver Medal. So, yeah, I love it. Go get a copy. You're gonna like it, I promise. If you like those kind of stories, you're gonna like this. So, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time.